Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics slash Non-Classics. This is episode number 654 and Doubleshot number 558. Okay, I got a Marvel trade and an IDW trade. This trade, you're probably like, okay, what is this? Yeah, and this is the 12. Yep, the 12. Those who know what this series is, it is simply put a group of C-list Golden Age superheroes who were, these were 12 C-list superheroes. For a lot of whom, pretty much like some of these characters, like okay, do these characters have similar names? Like one of them has a couple of them have similar names to characters that are associated with Marvel Comics currently, right now. Like this blonde woman right here. You're probably thinking, okay, blonde hair, skimpy looking outfit. Is that the Black Widow? Nope. Not Black Widow. Is it Black Canary? Nope. That's a character called. That's the Black Widow. I'm not kidding. That's Black Widow. This is the Golden Age Black Widow, known as Clairvoyant. Basically, it's a split up word of clairvoyance. It's something to do with visions. Who are these other characters in the cover? Well, you have the Flaming Man, the Witness, the Laughing Man. Yeah, the Laughing Man is the guy with here. The guy in front that's Captain Wonder. The guy with the electric symbol. Do you think, is that Electro? Nope, that's Dynamo Man. Yeah, the guy with the big brawny shoulders, that's Rockman. Not the Thing, Rockman. Let's see, we have the guy with the sword. We think, oh yeah, is that Zor without a mask? Nope, that's Blue Blade. And the guy next to me, like, is that the Shadow? Nope, that's the Phantom Reporter. The big hulking robot, that's Electro. You're probably thinking, Electro? You mean the Spider-Man villain Electro, the guy who's Max Dillon? Nope, this is the robot. Let's see. You also have Mr. Alexo, a telepath like Mr. Alexo. Who the heck is that? And we also have let's see. Here are the list of all the 12 members, and they are the following. I got my stuff here. The Phantom Reporter, Mr. E, Mr. Mind Elixo, Dynamite Man, who kind of like is their version of Superman, but I'll get to him in a minute. Rockman, Captain Wonder, Black Widow, Laughing Mask, the Fiery Mask, Blue Blade, the Witness, and Electro. Yeah, and I looked up a lot of these characters, with the exception of Electro and Black Widow, like almost every single character who appears in the series. Yeah, get this, their appearances in the Golden Age were like one-off appearances. So simply put, JMS took a group of pretty much mostly obscure characters and made them so interesting, and kind of basically mixed in some stuff with Also Squad. Basically made this a retcon of these 12 getting together, a group of mystery men with one woman, not several like Also Squadron was, where they were captured by the Nazis, and then they were put in suspended animation for like a little over 50, like I think it was exactly 53 years. No, actually it was 63 years that they put these people in a coma. Or at least put suspended animation. With the exception of Electro, because he's a robot. Yeah, and there's some shocking revelations about Dino Man. Yeah, where, get this, he's actually, believe it or not, a sexless man who is an artificial created thing. He's basically an android. I'm not kidding. And apparently, him being tapped on their rear end, that really ticked him off. Like, apparently this guy brought him to a gay bar of all things, and this apparently launched the guy to pretty much destroy this gay bar. Yep. Now, is there any present-day superheroes who open the story? The answer is no. No present-day superheroes, and yet, the usual. Now, this trade collects the entire 12-issue Maxi series, plus the Spearhead one-shot, which kind of details an early story of the characters, where it has the Phantom Reporter, that's really the guy's name, where he teams up with Captain America and the Invaders to stop the Red Skull, and the Phantom Reporter survives. Yep. Oh, and Rockman shows up as well. One thing I thought was really nice for this series was that JMS basically set this up, and it paid off tremendously of the Phantom Reporter and the Black Widow ending up in a relationship. Here's the thing about this Black Widow Clairvoyant. She's basically a supernatural character. Yeah, she's one of like 3 people in this group who actually have actual powers. Everybody else are basically powerless with their gadgets. Like Dino Man's got powers, Rockman's got super strength. Fiery Mask, obviously, it's got firepower, so Laird gives it to the Fancy Reporter at the end of the series. And also, they had this thing where at the end of the series where at least about 2 or 3 times when Black Widow and the Fancy Reporter make out, and the third time this happened, which of course actually came back after a little while being gone, they made out and they had sex. I'm not kidding, they had sex. And in the Spearhead one shot, they actually had it where the Wizard Miss America people kind of know who these people are due to the fact these two have shown up in the Spider-Man cartoon from 1990s. Yep, where they were together and they worked together. They were part of the Six Forgotten Warriors. In Marvel Comics, they were part of the Liberty Legion originally, and then later on they became part of the Invaders. The Wizard at one point was considered to be the father of Quicksilver Scarlet Witch. Yeah, this was really completely untrue, and he and Miss America did have one child, Robert Frank Jr., who became the Nuclear Man. That's seriously what the guy's name. Yeah, apparently he was kept in a coma for like 50 years, and Miss America herself later died in childbirth. Yep. And no, she is not related to the character America Chavez. At one point, she was called Miss America, or at least America, anyways, but completely unrelated character. And it's heavily implied that after the mission that they have in the Spearhead one shot, that Wizard and Miss America have sex. So yeah, the only reason I know that because, well, their costumes and their boots are on the floor, next to a bed. So yeah, they had sex. Though they never show up in bed like they do with Black Widow and Phantom Porter, who kind of becomes new Fiery Mask because he gets Fiery Mask powers. Though they do kill off the character, at least overall out of all the characters appearing in the series, at least 2 of them officially die. The first one who dies is the Blue Blade. Yep, he gets killed by Electro. Yeah, how this happens is that apparently it's revealed during the course of the series that apparently his creator create a mental copy of himself in the android in the robot himself, and Blue Blade found out about it because he used some kind of thing to control him, and that later killed him. The other character was killed. Fire Mask got killed off in the series along with Dynamite Man by being burned to death. Yeah. Overall, this is one fantastic series. If you're a fan of Golden Age superheroes and want to see something different from Marvel, here's the thing, they even mentioned the stuff of Civil War. Yeah, the original Civil War is actually referencing it because this came out in 2008. Yeah, this series is 10 years old. Also, for some strange reason, I have no idea why this is. I've never found a reason for this. If I made JMS, I would ask this, like between issues 7 and 8, there was about a year gap between these issues. I'm not kidding. There was. I have no idea why this was, but yeah, it was. Mm-hmm. Now, the artwork in here is done by Chris Winston with Gary Leach on the inks. The Spearhead one shot is also by Chris Winston. Yep. And Gary Leach does the inking with Chris Winston, who's also the writer of the one shot, which is amazing. Yep. This trade itself came out in 2013, but the series itself was released from starting 2018. Actually took a 2-year break, not a year break. It was a 2-year break between issues. Yeah. Either there could be possibilities. One, they probably want to put the series in hiatus to give JMS a break, because at the time, when this series came out, this was a year after the controversial One More Day. I think the reason why I came back to this series was so he could finish telling the story, and then of course you have the one shot done by the artist of the book. This series is absolutely amazing, and it's great the fact I got a trade that actually has the entire series, and it's not split in half like the original way it was originally printed out. I'm going to get this book a 10 out of 10. It is a fantastic series. I love the classic style comic book artwork with the way the logo is and the way you see on top of the whole like wear and tear of an old comic book. That's one thing you got to praise about this thing. And plus the covers had pretty much all 12 members taking up a cover of the series. Like you have the issue 1 having all 12 of them. And pretty much like every single character, as far as I can tell, got a chance to take over the cover, which was amazing. Yep. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It's awesome. And I do highly recommend it for people who are curious about something like this. Even people who are fans of JMS, I do recommend this as well. Oh yeah, even Captain America pops up in here, which was really nice. Next up is Transformers G.I. Joe First Strike. Yeah, that's the name of this. That's the name of this whole thing. Yeah, this collects the event miniseries that came out roughly. I think this was. Yeah, I think it was like just last year. Yeah, this event was unlike the. This is actually the second event of the crossover share of the shared Hasbro comic universe. The first was Revolution, which started this whole thing, though IDW were already publishing GI Joe and Transformers prior to this, and they threw in the Micronauts, M.A.S.K, ROM, and even Action Man pops up in here as well. But Action Man, after his original series of 5 issues, his series got axed for some reason, and he got like a one-shot Revolution, and that was it. Yep. With this particular event, you have a group of evil humans who invade Cybertron to blow it up. That's series they're playing, and led by this guy, Baron Iron Blood. That's seriously this guy's name. Along with General Mayhem, who was the main villain in the M.A.S.K series that IDW did publish. And you won't believe who wrote the M.A.S.K series. Colin Bunn wrote it. Yep. The ROM series was written by Christos Gage and his wife Ruth Gage. G.I. Joe, I don't remember who wrote that. Actually, Micronauts was written by Colin Bunn. I don't remember who wrote M.A.S.K. Now, in the case of these series launched prior to this, ROM lasted for 14 issues before getting axed, and after this miniseries came out, it had a 5-issue miniseries where he teamed up with the Micronauts. Which, by the way, despite the fact being advertising part of this crossover, they do nothing. They don't even show up in the crossover. They have like one character associated with the Micronauts, who happens to be Baron Cora's wife. I'm not kidding. M.A.S.K, they did show up in here. Well, about 2 or 3 of them. Their villain shows up in here, but his organization V.e.n.o.m. As far as I know, they get passing reference, but he doesn't do anything. Mostly, like the advertising says, is mainly just the Transformers, the G.I. Joe, and the Space Knights. Yeah, they're the only ones to do anything this whole crossover. And the Alliance of Humans is made up of this: Baron Cora's wife, Baron Ironblood, who, believe it or not, is actually General Joseph Clayton, the original G.I. Joe. This was a Revolutionary series. Cobra Commander, who's actually the Baroness, and Destro. I'm not kidding, that's the Alliance. And they want to blow up Cybertron because they don't like aliens. Yeah. The series is written by Marguerite Scott and David Rodriguez, and artwork by Mark Dunbar. I should also point out that the covers of the series are done by Freddie Williams II. Yeah, who also did the Batman Team Turtles crossover for his second one. Yeah, this follows up with events that happened in pages of books like Transformer, mostly Optimus Prime, and a few other books. Yeah, this didn't have much build up to it, but this book was at least interesting. It was at least a great event, and I did like the fact that you had where the Cybertronians were very distrusting of the humans, kind of like it was during last year's crossover to this reversal, because in last year's crossover, the Joes were very distrustful toward the Autobots, especially since they teamed up with Soundwave. Yeah, one of the Decepticons who were involved in Invasion Manhattan during the All Hail Megatron 12-issue maxi series, which they do reference in here. But, like Revolution, there is one small problem with that. They reference it, but there's no editorial note to reference. It's like, hey, this happened in the All Hail Megatron series. And I'm still wondering, why in the world didn't the editor of the book throw that in there? Like, okay, I know for a fact John Barber himself was involved with this thing, but he didn't write. I think he was the editor for it. Let's see. Here he's listed as editorial consultant for like one of the stories in here, which the three backup stories they threw in here is Origins of Evil, which is a story by John Barber. It's how the Evil Alliance came about, which how they came about is quite interesting because you have Mayhem and I think it's Destro who just happened to found Baron Corbin's widow. Yeah, I think Chorus is implied to be dead after the Wrath of Chorus series, which Bun did right there as well. Now, Transformers prior to this still has two ongoing series published at this point, which is Lost Light and Optimus Prime, which is kind of follows what happens to Optimus Prime. And here's kind of the weird thing. Despite having the Transformers crossover in here, Windblade does play a part in this crossover. She plays a small part in here. Let me remember, like, okay, you have this Transformers here, but where in the world is Megatron? Well, he's off in the Lost Light series, and for some reason, the writer of the series didn't bother to have it where it had a connection to it. Yeah, not even a tie-in for Transformers. Even the Transformers First Strike one-shot didn't even bring up the Lost Light crew. Yep. But it's great the fact that now in the case of the G.I. Joe version, the idea version of the reboot version of Cobra, yeah, how this organization basically worked out is quite bizarre. Where in the case of the regular continuity, which they do publish that one, where it just one is like one. I think it's about two official Cobra commanders. There's the original one, and then was the imposter for a good period of time. In the case of the IDW universe, there was at least 3 or 4 Cobra commanders. I'm not kidding. There was the original one they had in here. Got apparently there was a series of Cobra commanders, and Serpentor, who is kind of the emperor of Cobra, and he basically has a final decision in their big council they have, who oversees who basically are Cobra Commander's bosses. Yep, and several known Cobra characters are killed off throughout the whole entirety of the IDW continuity. People like the Zmont and Xmont duo. One of them get killed off. Dr. Mindbender shows up in here. He's still in here. Those who are wondering about the bumbling Cobra Commander, he does not show up in this universe at all. Yeah, the one that shows up, the first one shows up in here, but in Chuck Dixon's awesome run of G.I. Joe, it's a completely different Cobra Commander. And those who are wondering what happened to him, he got killed by a G.I. Joe. And that sparked off the Cobra Civil War. I'm not kidding, that's what basically what happened. Yeah. They also have Storm Shadow here, which they give him a redesign, which I'm like, that's weird. Yeah. Let's see if I can find him here. Yeah, he's got an odd redesign. Though, in the case of this continuity, his allegiance is not always flipped back and forth like it is in the original continuity. Yeah. Let's see if I can find it here. Like, this is Storm Shadow. Yeah, that is Storm Shadow with Baron Corbin's widow. That lovely woman. Yeah, that's Baron Corbin's widow. I gotta say, when it comes to this particular crossover, it is amazing. Really action-packed. I love it. I like the fact that they do, as heard, also have an Optimus Prime. I did like that, and the stuff that happened in M.A.S.K, that was really amazing. But like with Revolution crossover, my biggest problem with it is they reference the events all on Megatron, and they don't throw an editorial note here. Like, if you're a new reader and you're reading Transformers only in the last couple years, making okay, when in the world did Decepticons invade Earth? Well, as somebody who has read the All Hail Megatron series, that's where it happened. I kind of think that IDW dropped the ball twice on this, where even though they reference the events All Hail Megatron, they still won't put an editorial note in here, which I think is quite stupid. Though, of course, the ending of this thing, my friend Nego's looking forward to this series, especially since, well, it was Teaser Free Comic Day, that he made his first IDW appearance. First appearance in an IDW comic book. Who is this? Unicron! Yep, he finally showed up. Yep. After Transformers has been published by IDW for 12 years. Apparently, for some time, the writers of the Transformers comics had no interest in using this guy at all, and now he shows up after 12 years? Wow, that is amazing. I give this book a 9.75 out of 10. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it if people are Transformer fans, but I do recommend reading the stuff that happened on Optimus Prime. I do recommend reading the other books. Like, I do recommend reading the G.I. Joe book, which, well, you gotta read the entire G.I. Joe series to understand what's going on with them. M.A.S.K, just read the one volume they published for that. Same with V.e.n.o.m and Micronauts, and probably also the Revolution as well to understand what the heck is going on here. But yeah, thanks to Revolution, we had a return of G.I. Joe. First time publication wise, at that point, I think it was first time in 5 years that the G.I. Joes have shown up in the comic book since their fourth volume ended at only 8 issues. As a matter of fact, the most recent volume they published also ended after 8 issues, which actually was after 9 issues, which even I thought that was bizarre. Yeah, I'm thinking though, yeah, pretty much after this crossover, Transformers Lost Light and Transformers and the Optimus Prime series, those two series still continue this very day. To all the one was actually canceled just prior to this one, and as for the rest of the series, like Micronauts, G.I. Joe, M.A.S.K, G.I. Joe, M.A.S.K, ROM, Micronauts, all these series ended. Yeah, G.I. Joe and M.A.S.K were relaunched as Scarlet Strike Force, which was later axed after 6 issues due to the fact that the writer is so controversial, and apparently no one bought his book. I read the book, but I didn't care for this guy's stupid comments made on Twitter. In the case of ROM Micronauts, ROM managed to last for a good 14 issues before being ended. Micronauts lasted for at least 13 issues. M.A.S.K lasted for 10 and had an annual publish, which was nice the fact that they did that. Micronauts did have an annual as well. Yeah, that was a really great series. I do recommend it. Yep. Just too bad though. Like you launch these series in Revolution, and they all last for like a year or barely a year at most, or just barely over a year. That's the only downside to this. It's kind of like in the case of Revolution, they had a good idea where they might move forward. Oh yeah, there was also the series called Revolutionaries, which did explain the whole stuff with Baron Ironblood, which is a silly name, but yeah. Oh yeah, it's also revealed that Joe Clayton trained Scarlet. And those of you curious, where in like is Duke in the story? Excuse me. Nope, he is nowhere to be seen because he works for the government. He doesn't work for G.I. Joe anymore. Yeah, this was revealed in the G.I. Joe comic book that came right after Revolution that he does not work for Joe anymore. It's not, and apparently the G.I. Joe is not a government organization. Apparently, it's an agency that is run penniless. It's not it's basically it's a non-government agency, kind of like M.A.S.K in a way, where it's basically a non-for-profit type of thing. Though tend to wonder though, like to be like, what's the whole purpose of GI Joe if there's no Cobra? Yeah, if you think of a lot of the known in the case of the known Cobra characters, I mean, the only show up here is just a Baroness and Destro. Zartan he no shows in here. Major Blood does not make an appearance here at all. Dr. Mindbender plays a small role, but he doesn't do anything except for that he poses as a Baron Ironblood. But as for the Joes, the only ones do show up in here. Not even Snake Eyes. Yeah, Snake Eyes is absent. The only ones who show up in here are Scarlet, Quick Kick. I think there's like 4 Joes show up in heck. Even Flint and Lady J show up in here. Oh yeah, and Flint is actually the father of a new character in here called Melissa Fairchild. I think her name is. Yeah, she's the Earth. She's the Earth. She's the Earth ambassador to the Council of Worlds, which is nice for her to do. And they mentioned she's the former head of Earth Galactic Command, which was an agency that was heavily in the Transformer comics up until Revolution, which apparently they were disbanded. Yeah. So that's it for this episode. Yeah. Lots of stuff going on with Transformers. I love the Transformers. I love what IDW does. And I'm happy I finally got a chance to review this particular crossover. It is an amazing crossover. And here's kind of the thing. Joe Clayton and Major Mayhem, General Mayhem, they both get captured at the end of this crossover. Cobra Commander and Destro get away. They don't get charged or anything. I thought it was so funny how Mayhem's like, he's about to do something, and then all of a sudden, because he's intimidated by a giant robot, he surrenders instantly. Despite the fact in the M.A.S.K series, they have tried to capture this guy many times but kept failing, and yet it took a Transformer just to catch this guy. It's so hilarious. Yep. So that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for episode number 655 and double shot number 550. So it's 655 and double shot number 559. We'll have to cover the other First Strike trade and an X-Men trade. You'll find out what they are, find out what my thoughts on those things on the next episode, okay? But to see you there. Bye.